Hello and welcome back to our series of interviews with EuRA members around the world. This is a little different today. I'm delighted to introduce you to the majority of our board members. A couple of people couldn't make this call. But it just would be nice to hear from you all. It's great to see you all, as it always is. Alistair, you're in the centre square. How are you? Where are you? And what's happening?
Thanks. I'm very well, thank you. I think the initial period of all hands to the pumps and kind of being fueled on adrenaline and coffee and fear has passed. I feel like we're in a slightly different stage now of looking a bit further ahead and planning in terms of our workload. We have a significantly reduced team and a significantly reduced amount of activity, but we're trying to match the two. And that's an ongoing project, really an ongoing challenge. But we're fine. Morale is pretty good. We have a themed Friday get together for drinks, sometimes in fancy dress, and whether people are working or not, we're all communicating regularly and just keeping in touch with all of our clients and all of our assignees and checking that everyone's okay. And I think as far as the country as a whole is concerned, we're told now past the peak. And hopefully being able to move forward at some point. We just don't know when or what that will be. So I don't think as a country we took a particularly cautious approach to the beginning of lockdown. I think we were one of the last to reach that stage, but it seems like we may be one of the last to come out of lockdown of some description at some point. So government information is pretty scarce at the moment. We're going to be told what we need when we need, and that's certainly not at the moment. So we're kind of it's a wait and see. So we're planning for another couple of months, I think, of as we are, and then we'll see what happens after that. But generally, I'm very well, thank you.
Alistair, I'm really pleased to hear it. It is very interesting. We talked about this last week as a board, the kind of cultural approach, and as you all know, we're going to do some research about this. Where you've got countries like, well, we're going to go around to talk to you in a minute, like Germany, for example. It's a shame that Pierre Geronimo can't be on the call because he's in Switzerland, where they have given very clear deadlines all the way along. This will happen this date. We're not getting that in the UK, right?
No. And regularly everyone's asking the government if we can get. No, we don't want dates or times or anything specific. It'd be nice to have just an element of hope with. This may be the format, this may be something that will happen in May or June or July. And we're just being told we'll have to wait and see. Very
interesting. Great to see you. Bryony, you are next in my cube of, what was this, my Brady Bunch cube. How are you, where are you, and what's happening?
Well, sadly, I'm not in Seville. I do wish I was, preparing for the conference, because to be quite honest, it's very, very hard work doing the conference, but it's much, much easier than trying to homeschool my children. So I'm doing very well apart from that. Keeping very busy and missing everybody, but very much looking forward to seeing everybody next year in March.
Definitely, same here. And I know you've taken on quite a lot of extra work, and our workload as an organisation hasn't decreased. So thank you very much for all you're doing, because you're now taking care of one of our furloughed colleagues, Marie, who isn't with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Andrew, you're next in my Brady Bunch cube. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, although struggling to find the razor. But anyway, by the time I do get out of here and put a suit and tie on, I'm sure I will have found it. So no, yeah, I mean, just echoing some of the things that Alistair was mentioning earlier. It's kind of, we've gone through the what do we think is going to happen to maybe more of a sort of a settled routine, with regards to how we're kind of managing, what is a limited amount of business throughout our offices. But it never ceases to amaze me, the creativity and some of the innovative ideas that folks are coming up with. And we're all getting used to, me in particular, being on a video screen, talking to colleagues, etc. And in a lot of respects, it's kind of bringing people together, maybe not in the way that we would have envisaged a month or 6 weeks ago. But there's a lot of positives to take from it. And I think as far as, again, coming back to the business, the focus is very much on, when we get to whatever the new state will be, is kind of making sure that we're, ready, and obviously communicating with clients, customers, and in particular our wider team, so that they're aware of what we think is going to happen, and just make sure that, we're keeping as many people as whole and as happy as we can. And we'll keep smiling, hopefully. So.
It's always great to see you, and it's always great to catch up. I mean, it's interesting from the point of view that you're in a very, very, very multi-site operation, with Dwellworks offices being across most of the world. Are you seeing, for example, DEMA in China, are things starting to open up, progress? I know Hong Kong had a second wave.
Yeah, I mean, and that's again is, one of the really interesting, and it's been kind of exciting, and it's not that we don't talk regularly to our colleagues in our other offices, but that we have like daily stand-ups, just to hear what's happening, any new ideas that are happening. And with regards to China, it did seem that, I think, inside the country, and to a certain extent in Hong Kong, they were kind of ready to get back to whatever would be a near normal, but they've put in some, I think, fairly significant bans on people coming into the country, because whilst they kind of thought they were through it, and then people started to come back, they were bringing back further infection. But it's been useful for us as an organisation, just seeing what was put in place there, how we kind of managed our operation there, and it was as much of a benchmark as we could get, because they'd kind of been through that. And then you look at the other extent, to maybe say down in Mexico, where they're now just starting to, as I understand it anyway, get into a more strict regime of lockdown, etc. Whereas things hadn't perhaps affected them in such a way. So it's been interesting, kind of looking across the globe, and also now the different countries, making statements about easing restrictions, etc. And again, what do we think that's going to mean in terms of, is there going to be more activity, be it in our short-term or long-term housing in one country, and how do we make sure that if there is a ramp up, that we can staff that accordingly as well. So.
I know, lots and lots of very interesting discussions, I am sure. Andrew, great to see you. Thanks for being on the call. Isabel Cadell, how are you? You are next in my Brady Bunch thing. How are you doing? You had some very interesting travel arrangements recently.
Yes, we're doing good.
Good.
I was indeed traveling when all the lockdowns happened. I was actually in lockdown in Santiago, Chile, for the first 10 days. When we, like so many other people around the world, had to be repatriated sooner than later from our work or leisure travels. So we're doing good. We quarantined at home. Everything is going well on that side. Portugal was one of the very first countries to take measures, which has clear results, because our only neighbor being Spain, I believe we have something like 11 times less cases when we're looking at the global numbers, which is quite impressive. And we are still under state of emergency. And we are looking to slowly opening up again, little by little. We still don't know how, but it looks like it's going to open up during May. From the industry perspective or work perspective, likewise, everybody else in the world, we have a limited amount of work coming in because everybody's on standby. We do see projects that were in the pipeline, RFIs or clients with whom we were developing projects that's still ongoing. So we do what we can, like everybody else, and taking the opportunity to do everything that we usually don't have time to. Be it clean up folders, do the wonderful MIM trainings or complete the trainings. We realized when we were launching this internally that actually the team already had most of the modules, so now we're going on to the next ones. Also taking the opportunity to recertify with the GQS, the fact that their online capabilities, the audit cannot be done online, was a great surprise. And all these projects are such time consuming that this is the time to embrace those. So that's what we're doing, and keeping strong, keeping being at home. We are a small team, so that's quite easy. And we keep in touch every day, I guess, just like any other team.
It's really nice to have you back. I know we were all quite concerned when you were stuck in Chile. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that, because I haven't said that. But yes, the being able to do the seal remotely was great, and well done for doing it, because it is very.
And congratulations to all the members who have recertified very recently. Yes, our dear President Michel included, but not only. So we're keeping up with those news and having a little bit more time to read about that too. It's been great.
It's really good to hear you and have you.
I'm an optimist by nature.
Yes, good. That's what we need. Irina Yakimenko, how are you? Always lovely to see you. And you're next in my Brady Bunch Square. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good, actually. I'm in Moscow, outside of the city, staying home. We're in Moscow in particular. This is our second week of a very strict lockdown, third week overall, and our lockdown has been prolonged until May 1st, but most probably going to be prolonged for another couple of weeks at least, because there are a lot of May holidays in Russia, so they want to make sure that people don't rush outside and hanging out when the weather hopefully starts to get better. They want to make sure that everybody stays home. So I would expect another 2-3 weeks of quite a strict lockdown happening, which unfortunately makes sense, because Russia and Moscow has a huge rising number of infected cases every day, and they estimate that we haven't reached the peak yet, so it's still coming. Business-wise, we're doing good, actually. We've reviewed all the costs. Our top management cut their costs. We've got hours for most of the teams. I think we've reviewed and have become much more efficient. But I think in the past week, the most important thing for us has changed, is we are, exactly as Alistair and Andrew said, we're no longer in a crisis mode in a way. We are in what I like to call in this sustain, mitigation, management, and actually looking forward mode. It's sort of the new norm, the new business as usual, and we need to just look at what we can do, what we actually can do. Forget about what we can no longer do, but what we can do today, how we can do the home searches or any other services. I mean, the teams has been amazing in creating different services, ideas, and I think we're literally busier. Well, I wouldn't say we're busier than we've been same time last year, but we're very busy, literally making new services, some are paid for, some are value add for the client in times like this. So, and it all sort of very much answers our values. So I think the team's morale and the management morale has gone up, and that's the big change. That's the big change, and that's I think if you look at this curve of change, we are now in the mode of totally acceptance, looking forward and taking what we have as the new norm, and building on it. So it's very exciting. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but I'm actually happy that we are. Well, it was an interest. It is a very interesting experience, and actually, it's my weird perverted part of me is actually enjoying it, you know, and enjoy learning from it. So it's quite unprecedented and unique, you know, and we're here and experiencing it. So we gotta appreciate it.
That's fascinating, because everyone that I've been talking to has, when I've asked the question, how are you staying positive, it's always been related to being able to continue to innovate, do things for the assignees. You might not be invoicing for them, but the feeling of purpose, I think, is keeping us all positive. So
right.
Yeah, thanks, Irina. It's lovely to see you as always. And next in my Brady Bunch Square would be Tad Zelinden, our CEO. How are you, Tad? How are you? Where are you? And what's happening?
Where am I? I'm just up the corridor from you. No, I'm absolutely fine. I feel I have never written so many emails in my entire life. There seems to be so much to do in order to, you know, keep things going, keep things moving, encourage members, etc., etc., etc. I never realized there were so many diverse forms of communication, from Zoom to WebEx to this, to that, to the other. I'm constantly being asked to join a video call and realizing I have to download the thing before I can even start. So I've got tons of them sitting on my computer as compared with before. I must admit that although it's lovely to see Dominic every day, it would be nice to physically meet other people from time to time. And, you know, we're fine here. And those of you who saw the picture, I allowed my assistant to get on with whatever she wants to do rather than sit next to me all day, which I'm sure she wouldn't want to do. That, of course, is my mother who's staying with us, and she's fine. We're all fine. I don't know, there's not much else to say except for I really am looking forward to actually physically being with people. I don't think I've been at home in years for the same amount of time. I came back from Seville on the 13th of March and I haven't been anywhere. Well, we went to Tesco's a couple of weeks ago. Again tomorrow. It's too exciting for words.
Our lives have definitely become a lot smaller, it's true.
Yes.
But it's very interesting. Thanks, Ted. Do you want to, just talking about not being able to meet in person, do you want to just very briefly outline what we're going to try and do in 2 weeks' time?
Yes. As you all know, the conference should have been taking place in a couple of weeks. We decided that we ought to do something. So at the moment, it looks as if we're going to be running 3 sessions, one on the Wednesday, one on the Thursday, and one on the Friday, for about an hour each at 3 p.m. UK time.
Seville time.
4 p.m. Seville time. There'll be an opening session on the Wednesday. There'll be a session with the strategic consultants on the Thursday, and there'll be a session about relocation recognition on the Friday. For everybody who wishes to participate, you can do this through the EuRA app. It's been set up. It's a new event. It's available to everybody who booked the conference, and you can all come in and participate. And hopefully we'll get a few of you in there, and there will be, we hope, opportunities for you to make comments, and also, you know, perhaps on Wednesday afternoon and Friday you might like to have a glass of wine sitting by you when the session is taking place.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what we're going to do.
Try and bring everyone together as much as we can.
Try and bring everyone together.
The technical specifications of that will be sent to you by Bryony on Monday, we hope, maybe Tuesday, but we'll be sending you all the, that was Patrick Oman just calling me, sorry. And we'll be sending you all the details of that so that we can at least virtually get together. Susanna, how are you? Susanna Bourne in my top right-hand corner. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
We have some very good news today. I think it's the first time since the 14th of March that more people are leaving hospital than being diagnosed. So that for us, we've had 400 plus daily deaths. So this is a big thing for us. So very, very happy in that respect. We've now been amongst four walls for 41 days without being able to go for a walk, or without being able to, apart from going shopping for food, we've been completely locked in. The news is that the children are going to be let out as from Monday or from Sunday, Sunday, for a very short walk with their parents. And so that's a big step for the children, because it's tough enough for us, and for them it's just dreadful. So that's another big step. We have been told that we will not be allowed out till the earliest will be the 11th of May. The reality is that they've already said that this is going to be very few people that are going to be allowed out, and that they plan that there will be, maybe in 2 weeklies or 1 weekly processions, there'll be more, they'll be letting us know exactly how it's going to happen. But I don't think, none of us are counting on the 11th of May. So we'll be in here for another long time, I feel. Other than that, we're a little concerned about the economy. Tourism is a big thing in Spain, and obviously tourism is not going to happen. All the major festivals, all the major events, the Feria de Abril, which should be going on now, starts this weekend, should have started this weekend. The bull running, all of our events are closed, and that's going to harm economically. It's going to do a lot of damage to Spain. So that's what we're kind of looking at a little bit in the future. However, as a company, we're doing well. Everybody's got their morale up, which is really nice to see how everybody's pulling together. We haven't furloughed anybody. We've still got all the staff working for us. They are on reduced hours, so they're working till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. But other than that, there's been no changes to their conditions. There is very little relocation work, as everybody else has. We have quite a lot of immigration work still coming through, and luckily the Spanish government have allowed us to present things online, which has never been allowed, and we hope that will stay. But speaking to some of my colleagues here in Spain, they don't think that's going to happen. They think that will go back to normal, the queues and the bureaucracy that we tend to have. So that's, I was hoping that would change, but let's see. Other than that, obviously relocation, we can't get out, so we can't do very much. We have done some departures that are online, and go and check them once we're allowed out. But other than that, we're all well. Things are positive, things are what they are. We just have to get on with it. So we're well. So thank you for asking.
It's lovely to see you, as it always is. It's just one thing that struck me there. I know early on when we started talking about this, you said if you had a dog, you were allowed to go and walk.
Oh, yes, dogs
are all exhausted because they're being walked by everyone in the building.
And there's been a lot of fines because people take their dogs out for too many walks. They're only allowed a couple a day. So, but now children can leave. It's going to make it a lot easier for everybody.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm glad to hear that things are moving forward. That must be a huge relief. Michelle Bramstoft, how are you? Lovely to see you. Now, you are in Copenhagen, where things have moved on. How is it?
Yes, thank you. It's really nice, especially the weather has been shining, sunshine, and warming up. So people, at least if they have to be inside, they're happy to see the sun, which is very important here in the Nordics. Don't get quite as enough of it as you all in the Southern Hemisphere do. Anyway, we are doing well on the Copenhagen relocations front. People have also a good attitude, a positive attitude. Of course, Denmark hasn't been hit that hard, and now we're coming back out of things and opening up slowly. Last week, the schools opened up, kindergartens up through the 12th grade.
Wow.
And yeah, and then people, they've taken precautions here also in the office. There's a few people back. I've decided that I will come back in the office and work from the office instead of at home, but they will have, the cleaners will do extra cleaning, and things like that, wiping things down where they normally, maybe it's not part of their normal thing. And a big thing here too, Monday, small businesses such as hairdressers and acupuncturists and massage, those type of things, they've opened up. So there's more people on the streets. They're always, we have always been able to go out. That hasn't, but not more than a group of 10 if you're doing something social, and very conscientious about keeping the distance in parks. Everywhere in the park, there's a one-way sign, so you're supposed to go in one direction. And a lot of attention has been put on this to make it safe, and supplying hand sanitizer and gloves when you go into grocery stores. And also a lot of small stores are open, clothing stores and the like. Another really interesting thing that's happening are pop-up testing tents all over the nation, parks.
Oh, that's good.
And it is great because they plan to test 20,000 people a day.
Gosh.
Or yeah.
Wow.
And which, if they can do that, we're going to keep it under control. And this slow opening is, of course, with the understanding that you need to keep social distancing. You need to do all the things that you've been doing to make that it's made it work as it is, and so that it will continue working. And then once they can find people who have been infected, they will be segregated. So
very interesting. So is the testing, this is for testing people who have currently got the live virus, or this is the antibody test?
Everybody. So first they were saying, okay, just people who, have been around, or people who have the virus, or maybe are more susceptible, people with lung issues or diabetes. But now they're saying, no, we do everybody. And then they will just group them. So if you do get tested positive, you have to go through some other hoops.
Yeah, sure. And that's fascinating because I read that in New York, they're actually starting to roll out the antibody test that will show whether you've had it in the past. So, I mean, Denmark took a remarkably different, I was talking to Lena Rekdal and Johanna Lennartsson in Sweden. You had a much more similar approach to this in terms of there are advisories in place, but you're not being told. Do you think that is part of the Scandinavian social democracy thing, or is it cultural, or?
Well, I think one reason it works is because, especially in Denmark, there's that trust, that transparency, that even though maybe you didn't vote for Mette Frederiksen, you respect what she says, you respect authority, and she's doing a good job. Things have been working. So I think that's the main thing, that respect for others. You're supposed, even if it's the middle of the night and the street light hasn't turned green, you wait until that's green and then you walk. Yeah. So I think that's part of it, why it works so well.
That's exactly what our members in Sweden told me, also said the same thing. It works because people are she said, we're good citizens.
Yeah. I think it's really the discipline, that in the Nordic countries, everyone sort of follows the recommendations and the rules. In Russia, unless you are literally instructed and you're going to get a fine and this and that, otherwise you'll be quite free.
No, interesting.
Yeah, this is more positive reinforcement here.
Right. It is really interesting, and like I say, we're going to undertake some cross-cultural, intercultural research on this over the coming months, and it'll be really interesting to see. I know, Isabel Cadell, you said to me as well the same thing, that in Portugal we're the good students, and therefore we're doing what we're supposed to do without having to be forced to do it. It's always such a pleasure to spend time with you. I'm sorry that we're not spending it in person as we normally would at a board meeting, but it's brilliant doing these weekly huddles. We'll catch up again next week, and for the members out there, we'll be catching up publicly the week after, both at the opening of our non-Seville conference and at the closing of our non-Seville conference. So until then, it's wonderful to see you. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll catch up soon. Thank you, board. Take
Bye.
care.
Virtual hug.
Bye.
Thank you.
Virtual hug.
Yeah. Virtual hug. Oh yeah, good one. Do that. Yeah. Virtual hug. Bye.
Virtual glass, Wiltshire glass.
Virtual glass. That's what we'll do. Brilliant. Great to see you. Thanks, everybody. Lovely to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Stay safe.